Hi friends! March was such a stellar reading month, and thank God for that, because February was so underwhelming and I did not enjoy most of the books I read last month, so I was really hoping March could redeem itself, and redeem it did, because I read some amazing books this month, a lot of 5 stars, really good 4 stars as well, and I read across a number of different genres. I had some thriller, fantasy, romance, middle grade, a little bit of everything, and I can't wait to share and tell you which books that you need to grab immediately. So thanks for watching, and let's jump in. The first 2 books I read this month were actually on my Kindle. I'll pop up the covers here, but the first one I read was King of Wrath. This is by Anna Huang. This is of course her new series after the Twisted series, and this story is about Dante and Vivian. It's a marriage of convenience as well as forced proximity. I thought this book was alright. It was kind of like good adjacent. I really like Anna Huang's writing, but I just feel like her male characters are written all the same. They're all arrogant, they're all stubborn, they're all billionaires and have a bajillion dollars, and they just think they're like the #1 guy in the group. Vanderpump Rules, shout out, if you know, you know. And so yeah, I just think her male characters just read very similarly, and I just thought it was kind of alright. And I mean, listen, I'm not reading Anna Huang novels to really get some relationship advice and change my life, so for the purpose of being entertaining, it did meet that criteria, and I thought it was okay. I hope it's like the Twisted series though, and I hope the books get better in this series as they go on. The next book I read on my Kindle was called Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is another one of those books that are going around on TikTok and everywhere, and everyone seems to love it. This is about Summer and Rhett, and the synopsis of the story is basically a cowboy gone wild and his agent's daughter comes to babysit him. Honestly, this book was a snooze fest. I did not like it. It was very underwhelming the whole time. I didn't buy their chemistry. I didn't think they had any. Their personalities never really developed into anything, and then there was like a supposed big reveal at the end, which was very underwhelming as well. I would describe it kind of like, you know, when you're making popcorn in the microwave and you're just like waiting for that last little kernel to like pop, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then finally it just kind of goes and it like wasn't even worth it. That's how I would describe this book. So clearly I'm missing something. I don't know what the hype is about, but it's very underwhelming. The dad was like sending creepy texts. I think the best friend was not being supportive in the right way, and the sister was kind of a weird character. So yeah, needless to say, I will not be reading any of the other books in the series, and I think I will be forgetting about this book as soon as I'm done talking about it right now. So after reading 2 mediocre romances, I was like, okay, let me reach for an author that I know is going to be good. I've liked her books in the past, and I just need something that's going to hit the spot. So I grabbed for Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is her release from the month of February, and I've been so excited to read it, so I'm glad I finally picked it up this month. This story is about Hallie and Julian, and this is a second chance romance as well. They used to know each other when they were younger, and they almost even kissed in his family's vineyard, but they didn't, and a number of years later, they are reunited. He's back at the vineyard, and she is actually the new family gardener, so they kind of run into each other. He is very much controlled, she's very chaos. It's very opposites attract, and the setting is incredible. It's wine country, it's summertime, beautiful flowers. I mean, this setup just sounds incredible, doesn't it? Well, let me tell you, the book was not incredible. It was not good. I was so let down by this book. It's kind of like when you see a trailer for your movie and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be bomb. This is gonna hit everything. But then you watch the movie and the trailer were the only good parts of the movie. That's exactly what this book was. I just did not think the characters were written that well. I did not really like their chemistry. He kept making weird comments about her body and kept staring at her body, and there were some cringy moments when they actually get together, and the plot was a little bit all over the shop. I didn't think the letters added anything, and the third act breakup was kind of random. It felt like it was kind of forced, and they needed a random like fight to have. So I was very underwhelmed by this book. I did not enjoy it. The only thing I did actually like was the fact that she had some anxiety representation. I love when authors add real life mental health issues into books, because the more we talk about it, the more we can help each other and figure it out. So I did enjoy that aspect of the book, and that's what kind of saved the book. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird because with Tessa Bailey, I haven't had a book since It Happened One Summer that kind of hit that same like 5-star vibe. And so this was just really disappointing. I did not enjoy it. Okay, so after reading those 3 very mediocre, underwhelming romances, I was like, we have to switch gears and get this train back on track, because I refuse to have another bad reading month. So I decided to pick up the final book in the David Bog series. This is The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakrabarty. I'm not going to tell you what this book is about, of course, because it'll spoil the rest of the series for you, but I will leave a video linked up here that talks about the other 2 books in the series in a little bit more detail. But basically, this series is about a girl named Nahiri, and she's from Cairo. She's a petty street thief, and she has some healing abilities. One day while she's doing an exorcism, it kind of goes goes wrong and she accidentally summons like a Dijin warrior who's from a magical world, and he tells her that because of her healing abilities, he actually thinks she's a part of this magical healing people that are from his land. So he's like, I want to take you there. I think you belong with them. I think you might be family. So he takes her on this journey to that magical city called Davabad, and from there the story just really unfolds. It is an incredible fantasy series. This book was absolutely a 5-star, just like the other two. All of the books were 5 stars. An incredible series if you're looking to get into fantasy, or if you already like fantasy and you're looking for something that is packed with action, a lot of politics, and a lot of, you know, varying groups of people, some magical elements, really strong characters. I love Nahiri as a character, and it was really nice to see her development from book 1, 2, and 3. It was a great journey to follow, and I love seeing her stay true to who she was, but also grow as an individual. The love interests in the book were also written very interestingly. I just think it had everything. This is storytelling at its absolute best, and I needed this book so badly after reading a couple of those mediocre books. It absolutely hit the spot. 5 stars. Highly recommend. I can't say enough good things about it. So after reading that epic fantasy, I decided to pick up a thriller because apparently I hate myself and sleep is overrated. I am such a big pansy when it comes to like horror and scary stuff, but for some reason every couple of months I get amnesia and I just need to remind myself, yep, girl, that stuff is not for you. And I don't mean horror like monsters and creepy crawly stuff. I mean the type of stuff that like could actually happen to you in real life. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Bone Collector, with Denzel Washington in it. It's about this like cab driver in New York who like kidnaps people. Like, whoever comes into his cab, he like kidnaps them and then murders them and collects their bones. It's like a whole thing. That could actually happen to you. You could go to New York, get in a cab, and get kidnapped. So that's the kind of stuff that really freaks me out, is like real life stuff. And that's what this book was. This is called Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This book was so realistic. It literally could have been The Family Next Door. And that's what really got me about this book. This book is about a girl named Ellie, and she goes missing, and the family have been told by the police that after searching and doing everything, they think she just ran away, and the family is really struggling to buy that. They don't think that's what happened, especially the mom. Her name is Laurel. She's not willing to buy that story that her perfect, amazing daughter who had a great life would just disappear and run away. So a number of years later, many years have passed, and she meets a guy in a cafe named Floyd, and they instantly hit it off. They begin dating, and one day she goes home to his house and meets his daughters. The youngest daughter has a striking resemblance to her missing daughter from all those years ago. So of course something doesn't sit right with her, and she's like, this is so bizarre. How can she look exactly like my daughter? It's so trippy. It's so weird. So she knows something is off, and she then goes from there to try to figure out what's going on. This book is written so well. It's really fast paced and it's bone chilling. Like, I mean, I had chills in my bones to think like this kind of stuff actually does happen every day. There are people like this out there. It was so creepy. I read it in like one sitting because I really wanted to know what was happening, but I was like scared at the same time. I was like scaring myself, and I couldn't sleep at night. I was like listening for every little sound. It was just, yeah, it really got me. It did what thrillers need to do. It had a ton of thrill, and I literally had to like fetal position watch Friends for like the week after because I just couldn't let go of this story, and it just kind of stayed with me. So if you're into thrillers or looking to get into thrillers, this is a really great one. I gave it 5 stars, even though I don't like thrillers, but incredible story and really fast paced and really bone chilling, like I said. So after the thriller, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go back to romance, and I didn't want to have a month where I didn't have a solid, good romance, so I decided to give this book a try. It's been raved about for a number of years. It's been on my TBR. I've been hesitant to pick it up because everyone says it's so emotional, but I finally did, and that book is called Brightside by Kim Holden. Oh my god. This book, you guys, if you want a tear-jerking epic story, gets you in all your emotions, gets you crying, this is the book. I don't want to tell you too much about it. You just need to read it, and you need to read it immediately. Drop all your weekend plans and get to this book. It's about a girl named Kate. She's been through a number of tragedies in her life, but she still managed to be super happy and optimistic. It's the relationship between her and her best friend and a new love interest and the journey she goes on, and it's just incredible. It took me a little bit to get into until about the 30% mark, and then I was like, I think you're onto something. And then by 50%, I was like bought into it, and from there onwards, I was sobbing my eyes out, but I was also really inspired and motivated. The way it ends is really sad, but it's also really inspiring, and you're kind of happy with the end. You're okay by the time you get to the end, and you've made peace with it, and it's such a journey of a book, and it has everything. It's so well-rounded. It hits a number of different topics. It's incredible, incredible, incredible. I don't want to tell you any more than that. I just want to tell you that if you are into romance, if you are into emotional stories and into really great characters and into something that will stay with you for quite some time, then please pick this book up. It's 5 stars. You won't be disappointed. I loved it, and I'm so glad that the genre of romance was redeemed for me from the month, and I'm so glad I picked it up. This story is going to stay with me for quite some time. I might read the next 2 in the series this month, but I'm not sure my heart is done healing yet, so we'll see about that. But I love this book, highly recommend. And then you guys, from that point onwards, I was like, I'm done. I am completely emotionally spent. My little heart cannot handle anymore. I had gone from an epic fantasy to a bone-chilling thriller to a heart-sobbing romance novel, and I was like, okay, I just need something light and something fun and magical and whimsy. So I decided to pick up 3 middle grade books, and these 3 books I actually talk about in my middle grade book recommendations. I'll leave that video linked up here so you can see more details about them if you want, but they hit the spot. I needed to end the month on something light and airy, and middle grade does just that. I don't think there's a reading age limit to middle grade books. I actually think a lot of adults would benefit from reading some of these from time to time because it takes away some of that seriousness, and it reminds us of that inner child within all of us. It's always got great adventure, a little bit of mischief, and just some really cute characters as well, and it reminds us that it's okay every now and again to be a kid and have some fun and play around a little bit when life gets a little bit too serious. So the 3 I read were Juniper Harvey and The Vanishing Kingdom, The Vanderbeekers to the Rescue, and then The Map Makers. Like I said, I talked about each of these in my middle grade book recommendations. If you want to hear some more details, please go watch that video. There are also some other great recommendations on middle grade reads, but these absolutely hit the spot. I was happy to go to a faraway place and go to somewhere magical after all those series books that I just read. But I loved all of these. They were all 4 stars, funny enough, and it was exactly what I needed at the time to end the month on a really high note. So there you have it, guys. These are the 9 books that I read this month. An incredible book reading month, a lot of different topics, a lot of different genres. I hope you were inspired to pick up some of those books and read some of them. Comment down below if you've read any of these or what you read this month and you really enjoyed. I'm always looking for book recommendations. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll catch you next time.